What's good, y'all? Feel like I always have to begin these videos with like an explanation of why I don't upload. But as stated last video, it was just a house full of people, and so it gets hard to record every now and then. But I was literally playing my game, and I realized that no one was in the house, so I just set up all my stuff and started recording. But today I don't really have a lot of what is said in this video is going to be off the hip. Just because like I'm doing like a little just like a life update. As of recently, life has been pretty good. Like yesterday, hung out with my girlfriend. We got some Korean barbecue. That slapped. Got my ears pierced. Get a little bit closer, as you can see. I really love it. I got some glasses that are on the way. That should be getting here like any minute. If they happen to arrive like while I'm recording this video, I will go out there and get them and put them on. But and I recently got another part-time job, which I really feel like I will enjoy. I guess to elaborate more on that, it's at a sneaker resale store, and I'm excited because I don't know. I can't remember if this was the last video or the video before, but I had talked about my evolving style and how I was trying to express myself and stuff. And one of the things that I had mentioned was doing shoes. Sorry. Let me see if I can turn up my ISO a little bit. Alright, I don't know if that helps. I'll probably have to adjust it while editing. But one of the things I had mentioned was buying sneakers. And for a long time, even really up until now, from like 2020 to now, sneakers was just like one of my very first interests. And when I very first found out about Jordans, Yeezys, everything else, I just did like so much. Like I was just reading up on sneakers, keeping up with the latest drops, different collabs with different brands and like everything, dude. And for a while I had wanted to, whenever I first found out about like resale shops, like I really wanted to work in one. And a couple weeks ago, I that finally like came to fruition. It's like a little part-time job. I'm working on weekends, but I'm just excited about the opportunities that has. I'm going to be there buying sneakers, selling sneakers, negotiating on prices. We're looking at getting into vintage as well, so collecting vintage, going to different events, buying for the shop, dude. And I'm possibly going to be using my camera to record for their YouTube video or YouTube videos. And it's just awesome. I can't really explain how happy I am to be a part of that. That's something that I've really been wanting to be a part of for several years now. And now like I'm doing it right now. Like my first weekend was or my first day was last Thursday, and I worked my first weekend, this past weekend. And I mean, I can't. It's amazing. And fun fact: the guy who owns the sneaker shop that I'm working for, me and him were actually like roommate or not roommates. We were actually classmates, and we went to we had a class together. And I remember during during that class time, he was one of the people that like introduced me into this sneaker verse, telling me about like drops and his favorite stuff. And you know and I think now it's just like, I don't really want to call it a full circle moment, but that's kind of what it feels like. And I find, and it's something to look forward to every weekend. And it's just awesome. And you know this weekend I'm going to be hanging out with my close friends. gonna be going to West Texas and hang out with them for a weekend, and I haven't seen them in probably like over a year. No, not even probably. I haven't seen them in over a year. Some of them, and we're gonna get together and we're all gonna hang out, and I'm gonna get a haircut, and like I've I've always been blessed, but just as of recently, I've just been a lot more thankful for what's going on in my life, and it's I will say, like, this has taught me to be like more grateful for what I have, and what's going on in my life. I'm blessed with the ability to work. Blessed that I get to get out of my bed every morning, and blessed that I'm like have family, friends, and you just like it's just one of those things where you just have to just sit back and just be grateful for what's around you. Like, I'm pretty sure everyone just has those moments where they're just like dang, like, this is my life. Life is good right now. And because I'm for sure having one of those moments. And I think, this isn't like also like, which is pretty important. Like, this also isn't to negate the fact, of what's going on, in the world right now. Obviously it's, like, I'm not a political person, and I'm not going to get into it, but if you happen to like live under a rock or whatever, it's like, if you don't live under a rock, it's no surprise like what's going on. And it's just a reminder that the world can be a pretty terrible and gruesome place sometimes. I am blessed to be in the position that I am in, you know, because who knows where else I could be, bro. This life isn't something that should be taken for granted. It really shouldn't, because you could most definitely be in a lot worse position. And sometimes you just got to sit back and just be grateful and thankful for what's around you and the situation that you're in. It could 100% always be a lot worse. I think that everyone should always take the time to just sit back and just do like a monthly or just like a weekly reflection of just your life, and I there are people out there that are just like, sometimes that they just aren't grateful for what they have, and they just take everything for granted. And I'm so glad that I'm not one of those people that is just like, not like, I don't want to say like, I guess like not humble. And I have lived a life where, not where I'm humbled all the time, but like, life could be worse. Just to, and it's just, I don't know. It's just like one of those things where you're just grateful for what you have. And I know I'm gonna say that word like a million times, but it's really true. You know, this the honestly, this year for me has been pretty good. As much as I complain about going to work, or having to, like this summer I'm having to take my siblings to practice for school, or for sports, sorry. And as much as I complain about that, as much as I you know complain or dread about getting up in the morning, you know I should be thankful that I even have the opportunity to walk out of my bed, bro. I should be thankful that you know I get to wake up in the morning to do what I do. And it's just, I don't see how anyone could just sit, like, just take the small things for granted. And it really does, like, put into perspective how good a lot of us have have it. And, there's always going to be someone that looks at you and looks at your life and, they want something, they would like to have something that you have. There's no one else to thank but God, bro. Plain and simple. I thank God for waking me up in the morning. Thank God for giving me the ability to work. Thank God for blessing me with, all this stuff. And, it's just something, and I realize like this is something that could all be taken away. And, I pray that, the gifts that God gives me, I can use it for Him. And, that's what I want to do. It's what I want to do. And, each time that I feel like I complain about something small, I feel like in that moment of complaining, that's when that's when I'm really like at my lowest. Whenever I'm not thankful for the things that I have, whenever I'm complaining about who knows what, that's just the times that I feel the lowest. And whenever you begin to change your outlook in life, in my opinion, to be from like negative to positive, I don't know. It's just like, is it that plain and simple? Like whenever you just switch your view of the things around you, the things that you're doing, and just start counting your blessings. Is it that simple for someone to just have like a change of heart? And possibly. And I just wanted to hop on here and just give like a little life update. It's the middle of the year. What I need to do is just start like doing like some goals for myself for the rest of the year, which I think I might do after I get done with this video. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot else to say, man. Just wanted to hop on here and just say like, just be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for your abilities. Be grateful for your family, the people that are around you. It's a tough world out here, man. And, we don't have anyone but each other. And, there's no room for any hate, And I don't want to sound like a hippie, bro. But, it wouldn't hurt to just love each other, bro. But, at the end of the day, just be grateful for what you have. And it could all be taken away, for sure. I believe that, 100%. But, I was glad to hop on here and just talk to y'all again. As far as videos go, like I said, I'll try to upload every other week. Whenever there's at least one person in this house, so it's not a full house. But yeah, man, that's all I have. Be grateful for what you got, man. I'll talk to y'all later.